The amount of stress that I've been through these last 4 nights, but the amount I've learned. If you're wondering why I'm panting, it's because bloody went through stress. Oh my gosh, bro. This is the thing, okay? I'm just gonna do the brief summary of the learning point first, and then I'll tell you what happened. In F1, there's things that no one tells you how to do, and you only learn by making a mistake or by just doing it. And that is that's if I could summarize F1 in that sentence, even though I've only done 4 days of work of F1, that's the biggest thing. No one really told me the importance of, like, if there's a TNO, trauma orthopedic admission, then just clock them there and then. Don't wait till 5 a.m. when it's a better time for them. I was thinking, okay, this patient admitted like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I'll let them sleep a bit and then I'll clock them. No, I'm gonna bloody clock them as soon as possible, which makes sense. And then also, I didn't know I had to always like send bloods as well, like FECs, UZNEs, INR, like clotting, and then group and save. I didn't know these things until like this guy told me, and he's like,
look bro, like if you don't do it, look, in the future you're gonna get in a lot of trouble.
And like, which is fair, like because I appreciate his honesty, and I appreciate him telling me that, because now I know. Now I'm not gonna make the same mistake again. But I've not even been told that. The frickin' fricks.
Oh, you frickin' fan fricks.
He wasn't rude or anything, but it's just like, no one tells you this stuff, and like, how am I meant to know? You know what I mean? Like, bro, and it's stress. Do you know the stress that I went through when I realized that? And he said, oh yeah, like, look, you've still not taken the group and save. The first operation, if that's the first operation, it might get delayed. I was like, bloody hell, the first operation, neck and femur fracture, is gonna be delayed because of me. No. Nah, bro, I'm not getting bloody frickin' fricked by the consultant, bro.
What the frick are you guys doing?
Yeah, it's me. It's present day Taha. I'm out here looking like Kratos, you know. Jeez. So yeah, that was my first lesson of the video. You learn by doing, not by being shown or taught. We're going to share a few more lessons, and then we're going to answer some of your questions that you guys submitted to my Instagram for my Q&A segment of the video. And by the way, if you guys aren't already following my Instagram, then what the frick are you guys doing?
I'm tired of all you fricks!
But yeah, make sure to follow my Instagram, like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube thing, and follow my TikTok, and do whatever else you want to do, because I can't control what you do. Really, realistically saying that, you're not even going to do half those things. So, okay, next lesson that I want to share. The nurses. Oh my gosh, they are the best. They are your best friend as a doctor. They know so much. They will ask me, hey doctor, can you prescribe this? And I will genuinely ask how much. They're so sick. Like, even to the medical emergency calls that I have to attend, where basically there's a patient that another nurse is worried about because, say, their blood pressure is dropping, or the heart rate is really high, or that they're scoring highly on the news chart, so they want help to come. The AI nurses, they can lead the ATE examination, they can take the ABG, they can, order a chest x-ray, do this and do that, they can do loads. They took a blood culture and bloods and all these different stuff that I would be expected to do as a doctor. They are your best friend. So make sure, like, if you're ever unsure of anything, just please ask the nurses. They're so helpful. And they'll pick up on a lot of stuff, like on a lot of mistakes. For example, during my night shift, I remember this one nurse coming up to me and saying, 1 milligram of temacillin was prescribed for this patient, but that can't be right because we don't normally give 1 milligram. Hey, it wasn't me. I didn't do this mistake.
Yeah, caution.
So then I looked in the BNF and I was like, yeah, this should be 1 gram, which, by the way, it should be 2 grams, but it shouldn't be 2 grams. It should be 1 gram because the patient had renal impairment. So like, that was kind of like cool by me, because like I checked the BNF and I had to check the drug and under renal impairment and pick up that the patient had renal impairment. So that's kind of like sick by me.
Hey, any shot you could point me in the direction to Fort Lauderdale Beach?
Oh yeah, man.
All right.
But yeah, that was sick. The nurse picked up on a mistake. Not my mistake. I didn't make that mistake, of course. You as an F1 should not be making any like big decisions or starting patients on these like new treatments. Like if you're ever unsure of anything, you should really be asking your senior, your registrar, right? Don't just prescribe that drug or prescribe that medication because you're not sure and you think it's a silly question to ask your senior. No, ask the silly question, and especially at the start, because what's the worst that can happen? Like your senior might think, really the seniors in my experience have been really nice. So yeah, don't be scared of calling the med reg or calling your senior, especially at the start as well. You will learn stuff with experience, so don't worry, just ask if you don't know. Medical emergency team calls. This is when, as I said earlier, like a nurse will put out an emergency call, which calls the F1 surgical on call. That's me. The medicine F1 on call, and then these amazing like AI nurses. So there's normally 2 of them. It was a bit stressful, my first one. I remember, wearing the bleep and it said medical emergency call on ward this. And then I remember like proper running. I remember proper running to the ward, like up the stairs, like 3 flights of stairs, dude. I was out of breath. I remember turning up on the ward and being like, medical emergency call? Where is it? The different medical emergency team calls that I attended to was sepsis. So we just did the sepsis 6. Their temperature was a bit high and their respiratory rate was a bit high. So gave them oxygen. The nurse did the ABG. Like they did a chest x-ray. They were absolutely amazing. They basically took that one. There's another one, a seizure. So in our trust, we cannulate and then we give like 1 milligram of lorazepam every minute or every few minutes if the seizure persists. It's a bit different from your textbook management of a seizure that's taught at medical school, where you wait 5 minutes and you give like bulkamadazolam 5 milligrams or diazepam rectal 5 milligrams, and then do that again after 5 minutes if the seizure persists, and then call your med reg for like phenytoin and stuff like that. We ended up having to call the med reg there, and we gave like 10 milligrams of PR diazepam. Other ones are like type 2 respiratory failure, type 1 respiratory failure. There was one, oh my gosh. Imagine there was like an emergency call at the end of my shift, pretty much like at 7:30 a.m. I should be leaving after handover, which is at 8 a.m. There's this guy with pancreatitis and they're not saturating well on like, I think it was like 10 liters or 15 liters, I think, of oxygen. And also I think their blood pressure was a bit low as well. So basically at the end of it, we put them on 15 liters non-rebreathe and pumped some fluids in. Did an ABG. Dude, it came back like the lactate was like 5.8 and their pH was 7.19. So the nurse, dude, I remember them being like, yo, this patient is critically ill, call the senior. Senior was there, and then the senior told me to call ITU. At this point, really, should I have handed over? Maybe, like, but they said, oh, it's a good idea if you do it because you know the patient. I called ITU and it was like, please. Did a little S-bar, but it was a bit rubbish. I had to call this ITU doctor from their handover to come and put a line in and to come and review this patient because we were worried about this patient. And I think they got sent to ITU in the end, basically. So yeah, you might have to do stuff like that. Next, treat your patients like your own family. One of the nurses mentioned it, and I think it's a really good tip because it encourages you to show that empathy, and it encourages you to like prioritize your tasks well. Like say if there's a patient in a lot of pain, you want to like be tending to that, sorting that out really over like prescribing the fluids overnight, which is important as well, but you can get to that after like prescribing the pain. And also little things like holding a patient's hand and like telling them they're going to be okay, really treating them with empathy and listening to patients as well. Some patients often don't feel like they're being listened to, understandably, because they're seeing all these different doctors and they're saying the same thing over again. They're saying, I've got this problem, but then nothing's been done for it. Like from their perspective, probably not the case that nothing's been done. It's just that it's been looked into and either something's been done about it or there's nothing that we can do, but that's not then being relayed to the patient, so then it leaves the patient being confused or left being felt unheard and stuff. So I think it's a really good tip, to be honest, to really imagine, okay, how would I want my family member to be treated, God forbid if they were in hospital, and then to treat your patients like that. Cool. Now it's for the Q&A, which, by the way, again, if you're not following my Instagram, then first question is, how did you feel? Was it overwhelming? How did you overcome this, if so? Oh my gosh. I was nervous, bro. Like, imagine this wasn't even my first night shift. This was my first shift. Imagine you're supposed to sleep during the day before you start your night shift, but I didn't do that. I started my night shift at 8 p.m., right? So I'm supposed to sleep during the day. But instead, I just woke up at 9 a.m. that day and stayed awake through the whole day, meaning by the time I'd finished my night shift, which was 8 a.m. the next day, I'd been awake for 24 hours, dude. It's nerve-wracking, man. And honestly, even with my next nights coming up, because I've got nights coming up in 2 days, basically, there's still that level of anxiety, really, of like, okay, what's to come. The main part of the anxiety came from not really knowing what I was doing, and that's difficult. There's not really much you can do for that, except for asking your seniors, like, what's expected from me during my night shift, like, what do I have to do? So that's what I did, to be fair, and that did sort of reassure me a bit. I asked my friend who'd been on night shifts just before me, like, okay, like, what do you do? Like, is there anything I need to know about? And learning all these little stuff does help, yeah, like settle the nerves. In terms of getting over it, you get over it by doing the shifts and by learning and by making mistakes and by talking about it as well. Alhamdulillah, after every night shift, my brother would call me and I would just talk through patients with him, like scenarios with him, what I should have done, what I did well. Again, I came back home and then alhamdulillah, I could talk to my dad as well, my other brother, about all the patients, and I was learning as well. And I kept a diary. I kept a diary on things I learned and things I should do next time. So I'm learning, and that's what settles my nerves, honestly, because now for my next nights, I feel more prepared. Definitely, dude, I felt stressed, nervous and overwhelmed, yeah, both before and during my night shifts. How exactly is a night shift different from a day shift? So yeah, in terms of the jobs that you're doing during a day shift, you've got your morning ward round. You do like any day jobs like requesting bloods, requesting investigations, or doing referrals, doing discharge summaries, also TTO, so take home medications. Oh, is that's not what it's to take home, to take those are sort of the jobs you do in the day. In the night, you're not doing any discharge summaries, you're not doing TTOs really, unless it's like an urgent discharge. More of what you're doing is stuff like prescribing fluids, prescribing people's regular medications, prescribing pain relief, seeing patients that nurses are really worried about, going to medical emergencies like sepsis, seizures, and high respiratory rates and all of that. During my night shifts, I'm really lucky, I'm really blessed, alhamdulillah. Like the nurses do a lot of the bloods, they'll just pick up a lot of the bloods and the cannulas that need to be doing, so that's really handy for me. And then other than that, there's clerking new patients as well. So if there's a new patient that comes to my trauma orthopedic ward or even general surgery ward, then I just clerk them, meaning take a history and examination. So then the doctors that come to them day shift, they can read the notes, they've got the information about this patient when reviewing them and when seeing them. Is your concentration and decision making affected because you're tired? If so, what do you do? Dude, the first few nights I didn't really get a break. And that's a mixture of it being busy, but then also more to do with me being new. And so me taking ages to do these simple tasks, really, because me being a noob, really. Yeah, it is exhausting. It is tiring. Yeah. I'm trying to find a but in the situation, but because of the adrenaline, and I would say like I took pre-workout to my first shift, and also coffee as well is really good. These sort of things to take during your night shift is really good. That's how you deal with it, with being tired. Does it affect my decision making? Again, as I said earlier, as an F1, you're not really making like proper big decisions. You should escalate and ask help from the senior as well if you're asked to be making a big decision. But I'm sure like some of the tasks that I do, they are a bit slower towards the end of the night shift maybe, if I've not had a break, if I feel a bit tired, but not so much that I feel like I'm putting patients in harm, I don't think. Otherwise I would need to take a break. But yeah, it is a good idea to take a break, because there's another question about taking breaks. I mean, I don't think there's no fixed like break time. If it's not busy and if you've done your tasks and if you can find time, like take a break. You only do work if there's work to do. So if it's busy, it's busy, and if it's calm, it's calm. On my last night shift, it was really not busy, so I was just sort of sitting down and just chilling. Is it a struggle to adapt to the new routine, and have you gotten used to it? Yeah, so there's that question, and also questions about sleep. So for me at the minute, it's a 1 hour commute to the hospital, pretty much 50 minutes commute to the hospital. So that makes it harder. So for example, if I need to get to the hospital about 7:40 because I need to walk in and blah, 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 get to the handover, blah, blah, blah. About 6 o'clock, I will wake up and then shower, get ready, and then at 6:40 or to 6:50, I'll set off, and then I'll arrive to the hospital at like 7:40ish. then I'll do my night shift, and then I'll leave the hospital at 8:30 a.m. the next day, and then I'll go home. I'll arrive home at like 9:40, 9:30, and then I might eat something. So let's say at 10 a.m. I sleep, I'll wake up at like 6 p.m. So your routine is pretty much, if you're commuting that long as well, it's pretty much you do your night shift, you come back, you sleep, you wake up, and then you go for your night shift, which is quite unsociable, and it's quite difficult. But then the pro for night shifts is in between your night shifts, you get a bit of a break in between, meaning I've done my 4 night shifts, I got like a bit of a break, like 2 0 days, and then I took 2 annual days leave off for my 2 days in between, meaning that's resulted in me having a week off after my first 4 night shift, which is really good, and it's paid as well. So that allows you to like re-energize and get a haircut and yeah, catch up on sleep. Was it different to what you expected, and was it a big jump from uni? Yeah, there's a few other questions about whether medical school prepares you. Dude, like medical school and being a doctor are 2 different things. Medical school is a game, right? Like you need to know enough to pass your exams. You need to jump through these hoops. That's what it feels like. It's a game. Being a doctor is real life. It's someone's auntie, it's someone's grandma, it's someone's grandpa, it's someone's mother, someone's father. But it's more about looking after real people, being a human being to these people, being caring, being empathetic. That matters more. You're not seeing a patient because you need to add something for your portfolio. You're seeing them because you've been asked to, and you're worried about them. And also being a good doctor comprises of knowing how the system works in terms of how to order bloods, how to order these investigations, it's a lot of admin tasks, really. You don't need to know about these rare diseases like Kawasaki's disease and these rare kidney diseases as well, like autoimmune diseases. You're not going to see them as a doctor, really. Inshallah, I hope. Oh my gosh. Whereas in medical school, you have to know about these crappy, oh my god, Kawasaki's disease and all these rubbish like diseases for your exams, to pass your exams. Is so rubbish, man. Did it prepare me for like night shifts and for being a doctor? To a certain extent, I would say the final year definitely did. You know, the medical emergency calls that I was talking about, like a nurse is worried about this patient. That's literally what they were teaching us in our final year, like ATE examination, go. Bam. So that was sick actually in medical school, how they taught us the ATE examination and how to approach it and how to do it and what to order and how to like call your senior like medical registrar on call or surgical registrar on call and give a nice summary of what you've just seen and what you want the doctor to do, whether it's advice or whether you want them to actually come in person. All of that in my final year of medical school, that was really good. So it does prepare you in that regard, but there's this whole other side of course, we've touched on like the admin tasks where you're just gonna have to learn in your first few days and in your first like weeks, basically. What's the biggest thing you learned about yourself? That I don't know anything. Biggest thing I learned about myself, that I can do it. I came in, I started not feeling like I don't know anything, and I've came out like with a lot of stuff that I learned, and I feel more prepared for my next night shift. So is that I can do it, and I can deal with stressful situations, and I'm gonna deal with them better as well. Like I'll get less stressed. That's probably the biggest thing. Okay guys, I think that's the end of the video. There were a few more questions, but yeah, I'm aware that the time is ticking, so we'll stop it there. Let me know if you guys want me to make another one of these videos. I do have more night shifts coming up in a few days, so let me know if you want me to like vlog something like that. I can maybe do that if I'm feeling alive. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, drop some comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to my Instagram, follow my Instagram and my TikTok, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, peace, bye.